Welcome to Find Comfort in the Uncomfortable. This is the Q&A, and this is where you get to meet the coaches, ask any questions that you have, and put us to the test. Anybody have any questions right off the bat?
I want to know what David Lynch looks like. Can you put your camera on, David? Hey, Catherine. Nah, he doesn't want to.
Yeah, maybe it's technical issues. Okay, well, let's start off with an introduction, and we can talk a little bit about who we are and here in the first place. Hey, David.
Hello.
Good to see you. So my name's Jason. I have been uncomfortable almost all my life, so this puts me in a good position to chat on the subject. I actually, for at least about 10 years, was so uncomfortable in my own skin that it would manifest itself physically, and I would have blotches across my forehead. So that was definitely a nice test. It does seem like I no longer get uncomfortable. I've seen the nature of being uncomfortable and what it's all about. And, I do at times get uncomfortable, but I don't really give it much attention. And it can just kind of flow through. So that's a little bit about me. Ala, you want to introduce yourself next?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Ala, and I do get uncomfortable a lot. And I thought it's just the way it is. Everybody gets uncomfortable, and that's just how life works. And the only way to handle it is to work on it, to change circumstances, to yell at people, to manipulate people, to manipulate my own thinking, to apply techniques like hypnosis, NLP to reprogram yourself, or sometimes just, white knuckle through life. And that's how I have been handling my discomfort all life long until about a year ago, when I got a peek at what life can actually look like and be like when you don't believe what you see, what you think it is. So with that, who wants to come next? Rob?
How's everybody doing? Uncomfortable for me took many forms. As an athlete first and then going into the military, most of the times I was uncomfortable, I was still forced to have to do the action. And so for me, it was this weird space of having to do something, but being totally terrified or uncomfortable in doing it. And I think it wasn't until closely related to the other coaches, being a super coach and seeing, wait a minute, maybe I wasn't uncomfortable at all. Maybe I was just excited to learn something new as I was scared of what was unknown. Maybe I've mismanaged the way that I'm looking at this uncomfort, and it just tells me that I need to, more particularly what I'll be talking about is illuminate my situation that has me uncomfortable and see what else there is to see there. And if I could do that, that'll lessen the likelihood of me sitting in this place that has me paralyzed from action. Because I am one that, while I do know we play in our thoughts, I am very much one who believes that potential has no value without action. Like, you still have to move, and being paralyzed by uncomfortable thinking won't help create the life you want. And so that's what I'll be speaking mostly about, is just how to forgive yourself, how to love yourself, how to not judge you, so you can go out there and create the life you want. Feeling more comfortable and wanting to talk about those things that people say you should. It's your life. If you feel you want to help in a particular area and someone's saying that's not for you, well then, hey, if it makes you happy and there's a need there and you have the skills and you have the joy behind it, go do it. And be comfortable enough to tell anybody about it. And that's what I hope this course could do for you, if that's what you're looking for. And other than that, I mean, I would really throw it back and spin it to Jason and make him feel a little bit more uncomfortable, or do something very chaotic, like throw it to another coach who wasn't even expecting to talk today, and see how uncomfortable they get. So you all could see that we're just as human as you are, and our faces get red when we're queuing them up. You see them on the screen. And but yeah, anybody who just wants to speak to that more so, they can take over. But I look forward to seeing you all in the course, and we're gonna have a good time.
Hello. So I'm Jasmine, and this is Bhuti, who usually shows up if I'm on camera. She's on camera. So I'm going to be talking about thoughts. Being uncomfortable mainly showed up for me in the form of anxiety. Anxiety was a form that I just hated, and I didn't want it. And I did anything I could to avoid it. And I really, what I'm going to talk about is thoughts, because it was really for me such a release. It brought me to a place of freedom when I got that, oh man, I'm having this anxiety because of this thought that I got that I'm making bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Like I would get this one thought that could be like, it would be like, oh no, I'm starting to feel something now. And yeah, but if I feel this, then this is gonna happen. And then, oh, this feeling would just grow. And then I'd be like, oh yeah, but now if this happens, this could happen. And then it would just grow. And it was just like, it would get into these crazy, like mind-blowing things that I was like, I really associated with, that's it, I'm crazy. You know, it was literally that. But once I was able to disassociate from the thought, like I wasn't the thought or the thinking, that was showing up, and I was making it better. I was making it worse, actually. I'm the one who was growing it. That, just getting that was like, oh, wait. And I do it there, and I do it there, and I do it there, and I do this there. It was just like amazing. So that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about, you know, how to disassociate from the thought, and when is the thought real, when is it not, when should I follow it, when, like, because it got confusing at one point. I was like, wait a second, when is it right, when is it wrong? So that's what I'm going to talk about. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm very passionate about it. So that's it.
Thanks, Jazz. I'll jump in next. Hi, my name's Kim. And this understanding has really been a game changer for me, to know that I don't have to believe my thoughts, that my thoughts are just made up, that they're not the enemy. I don't even have to pay that much attention to them, and that there's nothing I need to do to get rid of them. That the nature of thought is that when you stop believing in them and investing your energy in them, they just move through, and then they're replaced by the next thought and the next thought. And I can just notice that I am not my thoughts. I have access to something so much greater, so much deeper, so much richer when I am not my thoughts.
Well, I'll go next. I think I'm number 6 here. So I'm Lorna, and it's nice to see you, Ali and Catherine. Hey, Robert, I'm sure you're there behind that black screen. And hey, David. So I'm going to be talking in my little session about numbness, because what had happened to me is I didn't like being uncomfortable. And so I used to pretend that I wasn't. I'm getting quite emotional now, which happens a lot more these days than it used to. And it passes quickly. I used to think that if I could just pretend that everything was okay, that I wouldn't, that I would be okay. And the problem with that is that I was alive at some level, but I was numb. And I used to sort of get confused between peaceful and numb. And now I don't at all get confused. Not sometimes I do, but mostly I don't, because there's an aliveness to peace and to calm. There's a kind of I can feel the blood flowing through me. And it's sometimes turbulent and it's sometimes calm, but it's alive. And I'll take that over sort of patched up dead numbness anytime, even if it means that sometimes on a call like this I start to get sort of choked up. That's cool, because that's how it works for me right now. And so this understanding has completely transformed my life. It's every now and then I get kind of sad about the fact that I wasted, seems to be like 58 years, believing so much in so much shit that I used to think. And now, but now I'm like, oh, well, okay, at least I got it. At least I got it now. And so, you know, when we decided to put this course together, which just kind of started, just emerged, we said, you know, if we can impact one human, actually, Jason said, if we can impact one human, it'll be good. I was a little more ambitious than that, but actually I got back to this. If we can impact one other human with how we see things now, everything would be worth it. I'm going back on mute now, and everybody else who was laughing silently can start to speak now.
I was actually, you know, when you said 58 years, I kind of like, I really related. Well, not 58, like for me, it was 24, but you know, I'm just saying, that's a lie, by the way, for those of you who think I could be 24. No, what I wanted to say was, throughout those 58 years, however, Lorna, I'm sure that there were these moments where, because like this understanding showed up for you without you even knowing that it was there, right? Like I've had these moments where I didn't have this understanding, but yet something inside of me would tell me that, just tell me how to or what to do. You know, there were these moments where I thought it was like just such a bad moment, and I would literally do nothing because that's what showed up for me in the moment. And doing nothing was exactly the thing that needed to be done, you know, in that moment. So my experience is, we all have a wisdom inside of us. And sometimes we just can't hear it because we're so busy with the noise that we have in our heads that we can't hear what it's telling us, you know? So that's kind of like what that brought up for me when you were saying that.
Does anybody have any questions right now? Like what are they even talking about? What is this understanding that they keep talking about? or any other questions?
I have a question. Can you hear me? This is
Yep.
Catherine. Okay. I don't have a question. I have like a comment. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. No, so I'm like a copious note taker, but everything I was like writing, and I saw this on Lorna's Instagram, which I'm very impressed you did because I'm always very awkward on Instagram stuff. So I was impressed, but I was kind of hoping when I watched it that it would be something like this, because these are conversations I've been thinking about for the past like couple of decades really, and have been struggling. I've started seeing like new light in doing this kind of work, but I have no one to talk about it because it's hard to find people who are willing to talk about the journey. And once you start seeing those moments of like, I wrote it out, like, you know, it's like you're training for, I always think of things in sports, like you're training for something, you're training your new muscles to have muscle memory. And when you start using it, it's exhausting. But when you have no one to celebrate that with, and that strength and that grace that you give yourself, and when you're kind of pushing through the uncomfortable and getting better at it, it kind of sucks. I mean, it's, you know, I celebrate myself and that's great, but it's like when you don't have anybody who gets it and willing to talk about it. So I've just been like excited hearing all of you, because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like people to talk to about the journey and to celebrate with it. And I don't know, so it just made me excited.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And I think that's what we found as a group and with other people in Supercoach. It's like, you know, your cousin comes over and they're talking about sports or whatever, and you start talking about this type of stuff that, you know, a lot of times they're like, what are we talking about? You know, they start getting uncomfortable. So yeah, that's super cool.
And one of the things, just to build on that point, one of the things that I am finding about this space is the underlying assumption is that life is full of beauty and grace and ease. And there's a popular narrative in a lot of places that it's supposed to be painful and hard and exhausting, and that's just not true. And so increasingly, I find being with people who really do buy that narrative breaks my heart, first of all, because just see how tough it is to live like that. But also sometimes I don't want to be with it, you know.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to that too, Catherine. You don't know how many times I've been told, you're overthinking things, Jasmine. You know, like it's like, but you know, and so you just kind of stop. Well, anyways, I stopped talking about it. I was just like, and then I found my tribe. I found my people, and I'm able to talk about it. But you know, it's like the first time I told somebody, like I remember this girl was like crying because of this guy that she literally just met. Like it was like a month or something. It was like, and it was the end of the world, you know? And I was like, yeah, but are you really crying because you missed the guy? Or are you crying because of what you're telling yourself about the fact that you're not in that relationship? And she was like, it's the guy. And I was like, I couldn't believe it, because I saw myself do it. I saw myself go from like, I was seeing this guy for like 4 months, and I decided to, you know, leave him for whatever reason. And I was crying, and then I heard in my head, I heard, why are you crying? Really? And then I could hear the voices. You're going to be alone. You're ugly. You're stupid. See, you should have just done what he wanted. What did you do? And that's what I was crying about. And it was like almost instant. Like the second I heard it, I was like, click, no more crying. I was just like, yeah, exactly. No, that's not true. No. You know, and that was kind of like, and I didn't have this understanding, but that was kind of like the first time where I was like, you know, you kind of wonder, wow, that was just going on in my head. It was me doing it all. Okay. So that kind of started the whole thing about it. And trust me, when I told my friends, no, I was crying just because I was telling myself I was an idiot and I should have done that. And they were like, no, you like him. It's because, and I was like, okay, never mind. So I guess you had to be there. So I get it.
Thanks, Jazz. Jason brings up a good point. We jumped right into what we're about, and we hadn't given much background on the, some of the language that we're using. But part of the basics of what we call this understanding is it has seemed like we live in an experience of the world, when it turns out we are living in an experience of our thoughts about the world. And that's a game changer when we see that we're experiencing our thoughts and that we aren't our thoughts, and we can experience beyond our thoughts, that we're not held hostage by our thoughts. We're not a slave to our thoughts. And that our feelings are giving us feedback about the quality of our thoughts. Our emotions are an instantaneous feedback system into our thinking. They're like two heads of the same coin.
I can see everybody taking it all in, like, ooh. But again, to bring it back, we're talking about that discomfort and how you push through it. And it sounds as if all of these different experiences could be what Jasmine is having, what Kim is having, Jason, Lorna, Ala, or even myself, are all different, but they're really the same. They really come down to this understanding of how you deal with that feeling of discomfort in pertaining to your growth, in pertaining to development. I mean, some people, and that could be your story, that discomfort doesn't bother you. You could just feel however you feel and move. Well, then we want to hear it. Tell me the story, because I would love to have that, because that's not my story. So it's not just what I'm going to love about this course, that it's not just, 6 people who think we know. It's 6 people who are ready to explore and learn. And that's explore and learn with you. So we want to hear from you. We want to hear about it, because we believe that's how we get these insights. That's how we grow. That's how we develop. That's how we move. So it's not going to be all us talking. It's going to be you all talking too. Hint, hint, hint. That was queuing up one of y'all to raise your little digital hands. And let us hear from you. Tell us about a little bit of your reasoning for being here today. What stuck? What about discomfort or feeling more comfortable you believe that would help you? And if we can't get, we got a hand. Go, Danny.
Well, what brought me is I know that all 6 of y'all are discomfortable or uncomfortable, and I'm really here because this is an actual exercise in being uncomfortable. And so I'm very excited to be here and exploring this topic with you guys and just seeing what happens. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, so if I could translate that, you are a fellow classmate who's here to poke fun at his other classmates doing a program. Is that kind of how, is that what it breaks down to?
No.
Oh, okay. That's what it sure sounded like. Okay, maybe that's my thinking. That's what it sure sounded like.
Let me try again.
Okay.
I'm here because this course is talking about being uncomfortable with situations. And I know you guys, and I know you're uncomfortable in some ways. In other ways, you're like super comfortable. And I understand kind of sort of the language and everything. Yeah. But I'm excited as a coach to see how you guys handle a class, and then, or not a class, but whatever this is. And then B, I struggle with a lot of things that you guys are talking about, like from a coaching standpoint. Like I get uncomfortable whenever I'm, I don't know who's going to show up. At first I don't know what we're talking about, and I'm like, okay, like what direction are we gonna go? So I understand from that standpoint that like coaching is uncomfortable, like even for me. So to see some people that I know are seasoned in the field and know what they're talking about, know what they're doing, see how they handle comfortability or whatever, like is super impactful for me.
Well, thank you, but I want to clarify. When Danny says people who know what they're talking about, he's talking about the Allahs and the Lorners, okay? When he's talking about people who know what they're doing, he's talking about the Jasons and the Kims, right? And people who are going to show up and do amazingly, he's talking about the Jasmines. I'm here to flip it all upside down. That's my whole job. So who else? Come on, who else can we? Ali, can I pick with you? Is it possible?
Yes, I just wanted to thank Danny for bringing it up because, yeah, I wanted to talk about it too, that we are not experts.
Yeah.
It's not like we got this understanding and we're never, ever, ever going to be uncomfortable again. Like we overcame it, we've done it, we're superstars, everybody follow us. No, we continue being uncomfortable, scared, guilty, irritated. The thing is that we just don't believe it as much anymore. And in fact, when we talk to each other and somebody says something uncomfortable, we're like, ooh, this is uncomfortable. We just notice it. And for us, it's a signal, oh, that's a lie. That's made up. That's uncomfortable. And we get over it just so much faster when we see the illusion of it. It's just not true. We are not experts. We are on this journey together for the whole life. We will never learn everything there is to learn, but it's just so much fun to keep learning.
Ali, did you put your hand up? Saw you wave, but you're muted. There you go.
Yeah, and Rob was calling on me anyway, but I did want to speak up. I've known Lorna for years, and I have watched her go through the program, and we've also gone on meditation retreats together. So we have maybe parallel meditation paths, and so I'm very interested. I've never gone into the world that y'all are studying, but we both talk a lot about meditation. And as Catherine said, it's so nice to have somebody that you can talk to about what you're going through and just knowing the language. And I have been meditating a lot during the pandemic and went through a kind of Buddhist Pema Chodron phase where it's all about sitting with your thoughts and sitting with discomfort. And it was actually very challenging for me. I didn't like the language that she used, but it's been very helpful. And I've been in the world of Deepak Chopra that talks about being in the world but not of it. And so I think for the past few years, I have been in the schools of thought that it really comes back to meditation, like having that exercise where you're learning to still your mind. And I'm still trying to figure out how you sit in discomfort while you're chanting a mantra. Like, you know, I'm sort of working through that. And the other thing I've noticed in the pandemic is I can talk a big game about mastering these principles when I'm not uncomfortable. And then the minute something hits and I'm uncomfortable, I just default right back to the spaz I've always been. And so I'm curious, two things. Are there other schools of thought that you studied before you fell into this train of practice that you tie some of the lessons back to? Because there are things that you say that I definitely have heard from other teachers in different contexts, and I'm excited to hear them in a new landscape where they might resonate more or be affirmed in a different way. And then I'm curious also, is meditation a big part of it, or are there other practices that help you cultivate the principles that you're preaching? And so I'm excited to be here, and always good to see Lorna and meet people that she knows. So thank you.
I'll jump in. I'll talk to a couple of those points. What we learned in Michael Neal's Super Coach Academy, a lot of it is based in Sydney Banks's work. And we don't follow a set meditation practice. In fact, Sid always said that when you see that you can live your life in a state of meditation, then meditation isn't something that you do. It's a state that's always available to us. It's our default. One of the things Jason is going to talk about in week 2 is how these things, this access to comfort and this access to the state of meditation, it's our default. There's nothing that we need to do to get there. It's when we've distracted ourselves with our thinking, and we've been believing our thinking and putting in our attention in personal details, then we don't notice that that state of meditation is always there for us. That feeling that I'm okay no matter what, that's our default. That's always there for us.
Probably, since I did pick with you and bring you on, I will talk to a few of those. I come from a fitness and more of a military background. So when you say sitting in discomfort, well, first with the meditation, I think meditation, what we're saying is what you're saying about meditation. I really think it's the same. We're just using 2 different words. We're talking about the now, the moment when nothing else exists but this moment, right? That's what meditation is. That's really what we're pointing to and talking about. So we may have different languages, but we're talking about the same thing, that same universal truth. But on convoys, I'll just say that, on military convoys, there's no way to be uncomfortable when you know at a moment's notice this car can blow the fuck up, right? There's no way. There's no way I'm going to not have this pit in my stomach until we stop driving, okay? But I gotta somehow, some way narrow this focus to be out of my porthole so that I can attack my field of fire. So I'm uncomfortable. I mean, I'm uncomfortable as hell. I'm hot, I'm irritated. I probably got money issues, all kind of stuff, other than being on the convoy. Before getting to the convoy, I got all this other stuff. I still got to be here and function. That's what we're talking about, right? That discomfort, it's there for whatever reason. It's supposed to be. It could be there because danger is near. I get it. But we're talking about seeing it for what it is, just the perception of what is, and your ability to navigate through it. That's it. We don't want to challenge anything you currently believe. We want to actually reinforce it, because what we're talking about is universally true. You can call it this or you can call it that, but it's universally true. You know, so I do look forward to picking with you more in the class and hope that helps some of your questions that you had.
Yeah, that resonates. Thanks.
Yeah.
I actually also want to talk to it, Ali, because I love Deepak. I'm a Deepak girl. I still love him. And I also love Eckhart, which were 2 people that I used to listen to. I still listen to Deepak almost daily, honestly. What this gave me, it's such an understanding. It's just like, you know how sometimes Deepak will talk and you'll go, yeah, word, 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 word. Yes, that was a phrase. What the heck did it mean? I have no idea. It's just a bunch of words together, right? And all of a sudden, like just it just made sense. You know, like his speaking just started to make sense to me. And I don't know if it's because I've stopped doing stuff with whatever he said, you know, like I would want to understand, like it was so important for me to understand. I need to understand Deepak, please, I want to understand him. So he'd speak and I'd be like, but what does that word mean? What does he mean by that? And by the time I'm like trying to figure out what he meant about that word, he's already like 5 minutes in, you know? So I kind of lost everything into it. But like, I just get to understand more. So some people, after, you know, listening to this, they stop meditating altogether. You know, some just stop. Some others just love it. You know, it's what your wisdom is going to tell you. You're going to finally hear, you know what? I want to. I'm going to meditate, guys, leave me alone. You know, I'm going in discomfort. You know, you'll be like leaving, you'll be like, who said that? Like, I do that often. I'm like, who said that? Was that me? It's just like, it's an understanding that is beautiful to it. Like, I used to be into empowerment. I was very like, rah, rah, oh, you know, but after like 4 years of rah, rah, I was like, okay, I'm tired now. Can I go take a rest? Because this is tiring. I'm not tired with this understanding. In fact, I'm more alive than ever. So yeah, I that's what it is for me.
Thank you.
What I hear you saying, Jasmine, what I think I hear you saying is like, what we're talking about is, it's the same thing that all the great spiritual teachers are discussing. But I don't know about everybody else here, but for me, it was just so simple. It was just so clear that it was like, oh crap, this is what they're talking about. And another thing I wanted to say, back to Rob's point, is like working through the discomfort. The cool thing about this, because I worked through discomfort for 10 years, you know, okay, I'll push through it. I'm uncomfortable. I'm red. I'm sweating, but I'm going to do this anyway, because that's what has to happen to get it done. Now what I see is, when I can see that it's not true, there's no working. It's an instant switch. Like, oh, what am I believing here that's not true? You know, and I use a silly example of a pterodactyl, right? If you think you're a pterodactyl and you're freaking out, you know, and you need to do certain things to protect yourself, defend yourself, and then you see like, oh, that's not true. It just no longer affects you. And then you can just move forward with whatever it is that you want to do. Nothing's pulling you back anymore. That's been one of the biggest changes for me.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I always wonder, what is a pterodactyl? Anyway, it's kind of a dinosaur-like thing, right, with big wings. Yeah. Anyway, I had the most amazing thing happen the other day when I broke a wine glass, and it smashed to smithereens. And for the very first time in my life, there were just pieces of glass to pick up on the floor, period. There was no story, there was no guilt, there was no accusation, there was no explanation, there was no excuse. There was now broken glass on the floor. That's it. And I thought, it took me like a couple of days for it to register that was it, and how much story I would have had about that same event every other time that I've broken a glass. So it seems like it's in the little things, and I think that, you know, Deepak, Eckhart, all of those people would say it's present moment thinking or present moment awareness. But I found that Deepak, as you know, I've fallen out of love with Deepak, but there's something about the sort of just noticing that the thinking is not me that landed in a way now that hadn't landed with any of those other folks. I always thought I needed to kind of get somewhere, needed to get to the present moment. But now I really get that it's apparently here. It's kind of funny that I used to think that.
Yeah, all of that is really helpful, because I think as you each told your perspective, I was thinking it's intriguing as just a new avenue and vernacular and maybe an experiential journey to figure it out, you know, to just move along the path, right? Because it parts of it resonate and parts of it sound new. And I think coming from it from a coaching perspective is a little bit different than going to a spiritual teacher who is simply directing you to sit and meditate and here's your mantra and, you know, study whatever lessons they're teaching. And so I'm intrigued by the coaching element of it. And I think it was Jason that you said something about something kind of registered which I'm experiencing more and more, where you identify that if you just let go of, like, you just identifying maybe causes things to dissipate. And so I'm curious about applying this in a coaching, you know, as a coach, because I've done life coaching and all kinds of other coaching, and I've done spiritual stuff. So anyway, thank you very much. That was very interesting.
I have a question. And this is me. I love being transparent. So this is me being very raw and transparent. So if I'm not wanting to hold like any of these classes back, like still trying to decide, you know, if I don't know all of the terms or the deep, like I don't know what that means. But I'm interested and curious about learning because I know what you're talking about. I know these feelings. I know these kind of leadership skills or spirit more. I'm hearing them more as like my spiritual journey, like my spirituality. If I don't know some of those, would that hold the rest of the class like back if I didn't have that previous experience? I don't meditate. To be honest with you, when hearing you all talk is exactly the reason I never have been able to like get into it, is because I am like, I get into my head too much that I can't relax. So I have like other ways of my personal meditation that I do that aren't typical, but I love psychology. I love meditation. I love Buddhist thinking. I do all of this reading, but I don't know some of these like specific things. Is that still okay I love learning and I'm very curious and I would love to kind of expand in that area, but I just want to make sure I wouldn't like hold the rest of the team back.
Then this is where you're supposed to be.
Okay.
This is like they said, you just tapped in. You may get it faster because you don't have any weight on this, right? So when I'm coaching or teaching or pointing to this point, sometimes I'm not even pointing to it as a coach. I'm pointing to it as just, this is a human being way of dealing with life. And because I'm a coach, I have to tell you that, if that makes sense. This is we're actually talking about basic human functions. That's why it's good for you. You know, it's okay about the terminology. Don't worry about it, right? If it feels right, connect it. Call it what you want. I'm from Birmingham, so I'll say some stuff and I'll be like, you know what I mean? You'll be like, I don't know what you mean right there, right? Can I get what I'm saying though? If you get what I'm saying, if it's not the right word, connect the word that feels good for you, because you know the feeling sits with it, right? It's okay you don't meditate. But what you did say that we're talking to is you know how to get home. So give me an example of something you do that you say your own meditation. Give me an example that you called it untraditional. So give me a good one. Go ahead.
I don't know. I think I just really try to like quiet my mind, which I know is what you're supposed to do in meditation, but I think I just have a really not great understanding of what meditation is from like trying to do it so many different ways through so many different avenues. But music is a big way for me to like, I don't want to say
so when you listen to music,
music, I would say, I don't want to say escape, because escaping to me is kind of what you all were talking about, numbing and dissociating, and like I think I've gotten better at not doing that as much, but just kind of like quieting the rabbit hole that Jasmine was talking about, that you just like run out.
Mm-hmm.
Slowing that all back down is music for me.
Yeah, that's meditation.
Yeah.
So you meditate. See, just different language.
Yeah.
You may not sit and you know with your legs crossed, because that hurt my knees. So I'm not doing. But you know, but you have a way of getting to a quiet mind. That's all we're talking about. Use that. The more the conversation happens, the more exploration of the conversation happens for you, you'll get more. You'll get more ways. That's all. You may find, oh, I didn't know I can get there through this. Oh, I didn't know that I had access to safety through that door. That's all. And it'll be from Allie talking, from David talking, from Danny, anybody. That's just how it happens. So this is definitely a course without giving the understanding of the terminology that you still can get something out of. So I hope you stay.
And see, I wasn't worried about like me, because I will definitely be a sponge through all of this, but I don't want to hold like if everybody's kind of at like a different level of understanding, then I don't want to be like pulling.
Well, would you do me a favor then?
Yeah.
Would you do me a favor?
Sure.
Hold them. If it's something you don't understand, stop the whole class and ask for understanding, because you paid for the course or you're in the course too, right?
Yep.
Like nobody has any more access to this information than you have. If it's something you don't understand, stop the class, right? Because that may be uncomfortable to do. I get it, but that's the whole reason we're having the dang class, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, if you have to deal with 30 minutes of, I'm about to go to class and everybody gonna be looking at me because I'm raising my damn hand, asking all these questions.
Yeah.
Got it. I would like you to tell me about it when we get on the call, but get on the call. You see what I mean? It's okay, you got it. I'm fine with you having it, but
Yeah.
get on the call.
Yeah, no, that makes
So,
sense. And I've never
yeah.
been like, I've always been the past 33 years person who sits in the front of class, asks the questions, da 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 da. But then I just wanted to make sure there wasn't like something I missed coming into this that was like, you should have already this, because I needed a
No.
prerequisite. I wanted to raise my hand right now and say, don't have that prerequisite. But if that is not needed, then
No, we are in. And if anybody else want to speak to it, that was just me. I would stop the class, get your learning.
Yeah, the only prerequisite is to be human, because that's what it's going to be like, a conversation human to human. We may all have come from different backgrounds, have different experiences, have different coaching styles. You probably noticed already that we all talk about the point to the same thing, but using different words and bringing different energy. There is really no right or wrong doing this. We're all trying to get there, to the place of peace and quiet and enjoyment of life. You do, all coaches do, Danielle, David, Robert, we all do. And we will all have uncomfortable moments, and that's okay. It really is. There is zero judgment on that. We judge our uncomfortable moments as being something wrong, and we're trying to get out of it as soon as possible. And we're looking for tools. Meditation, walk in the woods, taking a shower, whatever used to calm you down. We think that that was the reason why you came to a calm and peaceful state of mind. It may have accelerated it. It may have created conditions for it. But the reason that you did calm down was because it's always available to you, because it is your default state, because it is you. That's who you are. So if you love meditating, sure. If you like taking walks, yeah, be my guest, of course. I love meditation. I just don't use it as a tool anymore. I just do it for the pleasure of it. All right. We haven't heard anything from Robert. Robert, what do you expect from this class, or what questions do you have to us?
I don't have any questions. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was just invited by Kim and thought I'd just hop on today and see what it's all about. So I'm just enjoying listening to you guys. I'm in the middle of mowing the lawn, so I'm not getting on camera. But anyway, so yeah, nothing to add. Just taking, I guess.
Thanks for joining, Robert.
Oh, you bet. Thanks for having me.
Did anything resonate with you so far?
Oh, with me?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it all resonates. I mean, people are, sounds like everyone's kind of in the place that they're at right now, and sounds like we're all trying to find, I guess, truth, and trying to find the things that I guess we're here on this earth to do, and trying to get through it. And it sounds like some of the reasons for meeting here, just trying to figure out better ways to think, I guess, and better ways to cope, and better ways to, you know, have clear focus and thoughts, and not let a lot of distractions and you know, things that we can't control, or things that we're just perceiving that aren't real, you know, drag us down. I've been dragged down recently, actually, with all the political stuff, and I spend way too much time, you know, in the news, just worrying about everything that's going on in the U.S. particularly, and so yeah, I can see how my thoughts in that regard have really kind of pulled me down, and wasted probably a lot of energy that is not necessary to waste. Like it could be put to better use. So certainly, you know, ways to cope, and better ways to think, and better ways to keep myself from distractions are certainly things that are important to me. I'm just babbling, but I'm done.
Yeah, there's a lot to absorb here. Yes, when we do get pulled by a thought storm, or by certain events, series of events, it seems like things are out of our control, like as if we ever did have control. But anyways, it may seem like you're a victim of your thinking or of events. And that's outside in paradigm that we're so used to. When we think that something else controls our moods and our well-being. And what we will be talking about is the inside-out paradigm, that all our experience is created from the inside. And there is really nothing to control or to fix, that we are good, we are okay, no matter what happens outside. When we stop going down the rabbit hole, or judging ourselves for going down the rabbit hole, we naturally just fall back into our default well-being. So yeah, it will be really cool to discover and explore all that is going on around us, and how we think it affects us. Yeah, and how we think that we need to do something to control our experiences. So yeah, thank you, Robert, for bringing so much up. We will definitely talk about it in our class.
Hey, Rob, real quick, just for namesake purposes, that was amazing, and you're pretty cool, dude. But real quick on something you said. You said that you watch yourself watching the news and political things, and then you get kind of overgoing in your thoughts. Not too long ago, I was telling the story to a group about how I'd also got wrapped up in my thoughts, and I started thinking about my grandmother, who's elderly now, and the thought came that she passed. And so for about 30, 40 minutes as I was driving, I was just crying with the continued thought that my grandmother had passed. Similar to what you say, how you watch the news and begin to worry, and you know, with the doomsday information that they give us. But I got to a stop sign, Rob, and it was like the stop sign was blinking at me. Stop. And it was the awareness that, wait, I'm just thinking my grandmother's dead, because she's not. What I really do is miss her right now, so I should just pick up the phone and call her. And I've been in this, and I'm a coach in this, Rob. So to hear you say at this point, you could see that clearly is cool as hell. The fact that you know what ramps your thoughts up and that you need to disconnect from it. That's it. Like that's all it is right there. Because the moment you disconnect from it, you're going to do something different. You won. It's probably what because your name is Rob, but you know, I'm just saying. I agree. All Robs are cool.
And I think what's interesting in what you said, both Robs, is it's in the noticing that the transformation, there's nothing to be done. It's just the noticing. And it's even in the not noticing, like it's all okay, you know, so it's so much less work than I used to think it was. It isn't work. It's the default setting. I think you said that, Ala. It really is how the system works. It's like I got a whole lot of bites because it's the summer and I keep on getting these, you know, and then my body just kind of heals, right? It's because like our bodies want to heal. It's the default. We don't have to do anything, just let them do what they do. And the same is that the default in our well-being is well-being. The rest is just the odd mosquito bite, you know? Bad metaphor.
And so bad that we're going to ask you to close us out on that note.
Yeah, I wanted to be mindful of the time, and we're coming up on the top of the hour. So we do want to invite you to join the class. It is literally pay what you can. Lorna calls it even pay what you want. If there's you know, the common even amounts are set up, but if there's an amount that's not set up that you want to pay, just get a hold of me. It's really easy for me to add, like if there's, you know, if you have a lucky number, a favorite number, you want to pay that, just get a hold of me. It's real easy. I can set up any amount that you want to pay. There's also a gift option if you want to give this course to someone that you think could really benefit from it. It is definitely come as you are, no prerequisites, and we would just love to have everybody.
And just to let you know, you guys will be invited to a Facebook group, and we'll be posting the replays in that, and you'll have access to them forever. So, yeah. This was fun.
Kim, did we get that button done for just donate to Rob? Just because Robs are cool. So we got to pay what you want, pay what you can, just donate to the Robs. Like,
yeah, the easy button.
Yeah, the easy button. Yeah, just donate to the Robs button. Okay, I got it. Well, we do thank y'all for joining us. And from me, I can't wait to explore with you all.
Bye. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. Bye.